Well, certainly we talked about it. I mean, I think we talked about the whole sequence. It's learning. It's learning for us all. And I think that's there's an element of it that's the ability to execute it, right? To be in the right positions, and that's not just like a desire thing. That's it's a teaching thing. That's coaching. I mean, we have to specifically to the 2-minute drive where they had 1:36 with no timeouts. Keeping the ball inside and in front, tackling in bounds. We can't afford to allow for chunk plays. Zone integrity is important there. So, we're in drop 8 zones, and the point is that you're packing those zones. You got to play together. You have to be interlocked. And when we have vacant zones because guys are driving routes underneath them or whatever the case may be, you're going to end up in situations where you open up seams for chunks to happen. There's also learning from a coaching standpoint too, what we call, what we do, what our strategy is there as the field constricts. Certainly we have to also constrict. We're still defending to the goal line. So there's still an element of, you want South Carolina to feel the pressure of the clock. We just weren't able to get the ball down in bounds. That started on the first play where we had an opportunity to. So it's a situation that we want to be better in, obviously, that we have to be better in. If we're going to be a one possession team in the fourth quarter playing in tight games, that's got to be where we thrive. Unfortunately, we weren't able to finish the game off. And I think there's ownership in a lot of areas there. I think when you go even further back, you say, how do we finish that drive with the ball in our hands? Finish the game with the ball in our hands. So that's the 4-minute execution. And I thought we had a really good push early in that drive. Was really excited about the way we were running the football, and then a sequence where it had a tackle for loss and a third down play where we had the numbers where we wanted them, and we had Cam open, and we didn't sustain blocks. And 3rd and 7 that goes 4th and 5, you're really looking to get inside of 3, for me at least, to say, like, let's go for this and just finish it. Those are all things that we scrutinize and decisions that we make. But ultimately for me, the way the clock was timed at 1:36, the idea that our defense had a series of stops and played really well, to try to get them to drive for 75 yards to score a touchdown puts a lot of pressure on the offense. A turnover and downs that where they're looking to get in the field goal range to tie it, you're tightening the amount of yards they have to accumulate. I think the other thing you have to take into consideration that we talk about, even on the 4th down attempt, is how it shifts the offensive play calling mindset. What we did was we forced them into a situation where they needed to score a touchdown. And so they take the field needing to gain chunks, so they're a little more aggressive in their play calling. That requires us to be super tight in the way we play our coverages down the field. And we just, again, we bled out yards in a situation where you can't afford to do that. So there's a lot that goes into that. And I think a lot that we scrutinize. Listen, at the end of the day, let's finish it with the ball in our hands. Let's find a way to get that first down. Let's get it to 4th and go and finish it that way. And then certainly, we're going to bet on our defense every time. We have to be better, but we'll improve from Saturday, and we'll be better. Those exposures, those experiences create a situation where you move your team forward. And though it's painful, to me, it's the pain that delivers you to an evolved version of self. And so we're going to get better from that and learn from it and grow.
Aria?
Clark, what is the status of Ken Seals this week? And, how's the quarterback situation looking this week?
Well, we're going to start Mike this weekend. We feel like that's the right thing. Kenny's still healing up, and we're still week to week with him, but we want to make sure that we have the best chance to get out in front in terms of planning, and also for Mike to get settled in that role. Ken's got to heal, and we're disappointed for Ken, although I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of the way that he competed on the sideline on Saturday, the way that he supported Mike. I think there's really, that's an indicator of the kind of competitor, the kind of teammate that Kenny is. Just one of those things that it makes you proud as a coach to see. And so what I know about Ken is he's going to work his way back to health. When he is, he'll be back out there for us. Until then, I know he's going to give everything to this team, and we'll keep evaluating him as we move forward.
Robbie?
So to be clear, so Ken will not be available for this game. And then also when he does get healthy, who's the starting quarterback?
Not ready to declare Ken available or unavailable at this point, but do know that he's got a ways to go before he's able to take the starting share of reps. And so want to build confidence around a plan with Mike this week and allow Ken the time to get healthy, not push him back, obviously, before he might be ready. If he becomes available this week, then great. If not, then we'll keep moving forward with this plan and keep checking in. As far as, when Kenny is healthy and he's able to throw and he's returned to his level of performance that he was pre-injury, he's our starting quarterback, and we just got to give him time to do that. He's got to return to health, and it's got to be full health, and he's got to be able to do the things that make him a shining spot on this team. And we'll keep evaluating that, and it can't be part of the way, it's got to be all the way, and we can't rush him back. We have to be patient with it. Until then, we have a guy that we came out of fall camp saying he's 1B, right? Mike Wright has earned this opportunity. I thought he did a nice job on Saturday leading the offense, again, with Ken's support, and we are fully confident in his abilities to help us win a game on Saturday.
Grizzly?
Yeah, Clark, regarding the last drive on offense and the last drive on defense, sometimes you look back at a game and say, well, we did the right things and we would execute it and call it that way again. It just didn't work out. Sometimes you might look back and say, well, maybe we would have called it a little differently in hindsight. Now that you've had time to think about it and to look at film and know what your team does well, what it doesn't do well, would you call it the same way again on both sides? And if not, what would you do differently?
Well, I think without, just the most scrutinized decision, or the highest pressure decision that I faced was the 3rd to 4th down. I love the way our offense was calling it on the 4-minute drive. I think we were having success. The run through TFL is a good defensive play on a counter. We didn't quite sequence for momentum there. And so the 3rd and 7, I loved the play call with the run action kind of read zone that had the option to throw Cam in the flat. I thought that was a good design where we can protect the ball, where we can get the ball in the hands of a playmaker. And again, we had 2 guys that were blocking the perimeter there, and Ben on a corner and Chris Pierce on their nickel. If you give me that matchup 10 times, I'm taking it 10 out of 10. We weren't able to sustain the blocks on the perimeter, and so the ball gets tackled for a 2-yard gain. In that moment, we have these conversations ahead of time. You're kind of fully aware of the opponent's out of timeouts. When you go for it on 4th down, obviously with a 3-point lead, you're a little safer there because the field goal ties it. When it's 1 or 2 points and a field goal wins it, you're a little more pressed, and you want to see the clock drain a little further. If that makes sense, Chris. So if it's a 1 or 2 point game, they can win it with a field goal. We're gonna want to see that clock inside of probably 45 seconds to go for it on 4th down, knowing that the pressure of the time running out is going to be all but insurmountable. So long as we execute, it's still that element of it. But with no timeouts and inside of 45 seconds, you're feeling pretty good. With 1:36 left, had that been inside of 3 yards, where I feel like we could have gotten a play that would allow Mike to convert, just gives you more options. It puts more pressure. Your convert percentage is way higher. we had talked about it being a go. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get the production on the third down snap that we wanted. And so at 4th and 5, again, the feeling with a minute 36 and no timeouts was that our defense had been playing well. Let's get a 6-point lead. Let's force them to drive 75 yards to the end zone, and let's put pressure on them. You flipped into the defensive sequence, and I fully support the idea that we're going to keep the ball inside in front. The first, I believe, 2 snaps, we rushed 4. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get the ball down on the first one inbounds. They threw a check down to a rolled up corner that I felt like we had a chance to tackle it inbounds. We didn't. Even the second play, which was an option route to the tight end that ran away from Anthony. If we're just in the hip of that and we down it in bounds, those 2 plays with the clock running, you're starting to put some significant pressure. South Carolina has 2 opponents there. They have Vanderbilt and they have the clock, and we have to get the clock working in our favor. We weren't able to do that. So on the back end of the second completion, I think the thought was that let's pack some zones here and not give them seams to run into. And so we decided then to rush 3, drop 8. And we proceeded to have a good couple sequence. They threw an incomplete pass on the sideline. They threw an incomplete pass to the back. It sets up 3rd and 10. We stayed with it, and they found a dig that kind of shaved under late, and we had a voided zone. We had a player out of position, which is a learning moment, but it's a brutal learning moment, but it's a learning moment. So we got on our heels. We went to drop 8 again. They completed another chunk. And at that point, it becomes, the pressure of the clock's out of it. We have to make a play. And again, anytime you're in a 2-minute sequence, the line to gain, the tighter that ball gets to the line to gain, the more that you're going to tighten your coverage and be more aggressive. I just felt like we were never able to get ahead of the sticks. And certainly we go back and evaluate that strategically and get a concept of like, hey, where could we have done a better job, both in the execution? And I don't want to say that execution is a player issue, because our players all are desperate to do their jobs at a high level. It's how do we teach this better? How do we train them to be in better positions? I mean, in coverage, there are only so many plays that can deliver the ball to soft spots. We have to know where the soft spots are, and we have to be in really good positions to defend them. So, taking ownership on a coaching level of how we teach that, how we train our guys to execute in that moment. Obviously, the players having the awareness to execute will put us in better position. There's still going to come a point in time where we're going to want to tighten up and be more aggressive as the field compresses. And, those are things for us to look at, scrutinize, and again, to grow as a staff too, because I think that's as important as anything that we continue to develop that way. But that's about as detailed I can be in the last 2 possessions. And again, that's, I think I appreciate the questions, because I think that's an important part of, both understanding where we were on it, but also the growth of this program and how we're going to move forward through it.
Thank you. One quick clarification. Are you saying that you might have been a little more inclined to try to run clock on offense had it been a 1 or 2 point lead instead of a field goal? I'm trying to just make sure I understood what you said there.
So when you're talking about playing with a lead in a 4-minute situation and the potential for building on that lead with a field goal, the analytics folks hate 6-point margins. They just don't believe in them. And I understand that, when you're at a 1 or 2 point lead, a field goal gets you to 4 or 5, but you're always the thing that you want, obviously, is to end with possession of the ball in your hands and not even leave it to chance. So for us, there's a world where even with a 1 or 2 point lead, we would still consider, and a field goal can beat you, we would still consider going for it on 4th down. But for us to do that, we want to see the clock not at a minute 36, right? Time has to be an accelerator to the offense. And if time's an accelerator to the offense, you would still leave yourself exposed to a field goal that could win it. You just want to make really sure, the odds of the conversion have to be in your favor. And you have to make certain that tackling the ball in bounds will get the game over. Is that clear, Chris, what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
it's more like big picture strategy. In the moment, we had a 3-point at 4th and 5. The decision was go to a 6-point and defend all the way to the goal line. And, you know, had we gotten inside of 3 yards, 4th and 2, 4th and 1, we're going to go and we're going to finish the game with the ball in our hands. At 4th and 5, you're battling some odds there that strip your play calls down. And you know, we felt like our defense was playing really well. We wanted to give them a chance to put the game away. They weren't able to do it. You know, I mean, it's painful, man. I don't want to dismiss it. I mean, it's brutal, but you know, we gotta own it now, right? That's how you move forward. No victims here. We own it. We learn from it. We get better. And that's everyone in the operation.
One more quick thing. Do you have it thought out in your mind that if it's X amount of yards, do you have like kind of parameters that you know going in so that you don't have to make that decision in the moment?
We do. Yeah. Now there is a feel component to it, Chris, because, you know, we have predetermined ranges for goes on 4th down. And anytime you're coming off a TFL or a negative yardage play or a pressured quarterback, right? You're going to reconsider based off the momentum of the sequence. And you know, you hate to leave it to feel and instinct, but ultimately feel and instinct has to be a part of this. But we stay pretty true to what those sequences communicate to us. And most times, and now I'm getting more big picture, like this could be a 4th down in the field. Most times we're operating as an offense with the understanding of where the goal line is. We're operating with that understanding on 1st down, and on 3rd down, I may say, get me a positive play here and we'll go on 4th, right? We come out, we get a negative play, then we have to reconsider just based off, you know, where our offense is and what the defense is doing to neutralize our advantages.
Theo.
Hi, Coach. I cover Mississippi State, and I'm researching a 1904 game between MSU and Vanderbilt for a story. Vanderbilt at the time was coached by Dan McGugin, the winningest coach in BU history. Have you learned a lot about Coach McGugin and the history of this program? And what does that seeing that sustained success mean to you as a former player and now the head coach here?
Well, I'm well versed in the history of this program because this is my hometown and I followed this program growing up and I played here and I've, you know, we function in the McGugin Center, right? So it bears the name of Dan McGugin. We have a clear awareness of our success in our past, you know, in our further history. More recently, obviously, there's been you know, disappointment, but some bright spots along the way. I think for us, just the excitement around the program right now is about change and resource in Van United and the direction of our leadership with the new Chancellor Deermeyer, who is has made athletics a priority and has made this program a priority. I mean, that's someone that I hear from weekly, and it's just such a neat partnership. And then obviously with Dr. Lee, Candace Lee, our athletics director, who's also an alum, and you know, it's personal to her too. This is a journey for both of us that is not just about, you know, doing our jobs, but it's about, you know, investing in a place that carries deep meaning to us. And so, you know, again, I guess to answer your question, the history of the program we're well aware of, and the direction, the future of the program we're well aware of too. And it's hard sometimes to kind of in a world of you know, quick fixes or short-term perspectives, you know, part of our charge here and part of the discipline required in executing this vision is to constantly be focused on where this program is headed. And again, with leadership and resources, with changes internally, the way this team is responding and growing each week. Again, you go back to the first game where the first signs of adversity this season, we really faltered. I think we're building character through responses and through making competitive decisions. We keep the vision for the future in mind every single day, and it's exciting. We're exciting not just about the future of this weekend against Mississippi State, but also where this program's headed in a bigger picture sense. And this has been, it's obviously a difficult journey, but it's a great journey, and one that excites me and gets me fired up every single day to come to work and do what I've always dreamed of doing. So thanks for the question. I don't know if that answers it, but I appreciate the chance to talk about it for sure.
Yeah, following up on that a little bit. I mean, you mentioned growing up in Nashville. Did you learn a lot, hear a lot about the history of the program when you were growing up?
I did. We were. I mean, I've got family history here, so I grew up going to the games. So I was around the program, and heard the stories of my dad played for a couple of years here, and he would talk about his obviously reliving his glory days, which is what I get to do with my children now. So unfortunately, there's more video evidence now that I wasn't as good as I claimed to be, but I can still talk a big game, I guess. But no, yeah, certainly growing up, I was, I grew up on campus. I was at football games. I was at basketball games. We supported this university, and that's what makes this opportunity for me so special.
Teresa, you have another?
I do. Clark, how important is it maybe to get back to campus for Saturday's game against Mississippi State, and what kind of a challenge do they pose?
Well, we're excited to be back home. I think this is another great opportunity for us to learn how to play at home, to defend our home stadium, and to develop a style of player at home that engages our fan base. Mississippi State is a team, obviously, that's well versed in its systems on both sides of the ball, and systems on both sides of the ball that are unique. They've been able to manage games and be in close games late, and they've been able to win. Coach Leach does a nice job on offense, obviously possessing the ball with their passing attack. They can also be explosive, and then defensively, it's helter skelter. I mean, it's a ton of movement. They got big physical front that they move around a bunch, and that's going to create negative yardage snaps. I think challenge for us offensively is how to get a rhythm, how to get the ball into space. They're going to make that challenging, and we have to come up with a great plan to get that done. So Mississippi State's a good team, and it's going to be a great challenge, and we're excited to be able to do that at home.
All right, last one from Aria. Go ahead, Aria.
Clark, you said in earlier weeks about Mike Wright that you thought he tried to kind of make too many plays himself. But after seeing him start a full game against South Carolina, how would you evaluate his performance? Do you think that he improved on the areas that you wanted to see improvement in? And what would you say, you want to see more from him going forward?
And just to be specific, I think particularly in the role that he was filling, he was pressed to try to take advantage of every snap that he had. And, that's not indicative of his desire to do things on his own. It's indicative of his desire to perform at a level that allows him to keep, to stay out there. I think what we saw on Saturday was a guy that was confident. He was confident in his preparation, confident in his ability to create, and we will need him to create and make plays. He was able to direct an offense that was more explosive than we've been all year. And that's exciting. And I think also he was able to, in the moment, think with clarity and make decisions to strengthen the other 10 guys on the field, knowing that, it was going to be his ball the next time out. So he wasn't trying to press at all. He was just very comfortable in the role. And I thought for his first time performed admirably, just like any first time, just like from my first time as head coach on the sidelines to my second, you learn a lot, and he learned a lot, and he at times made impeccable reads, and at times, could have made a different decision with the ball that might have allowed us to spring a run or spring a pass. We got to continue to develop chemistry between he and the receiving core. chemistry through timing and rhythm, to be able to throw players open. You know, the explosive play to Shep was great because that ball was out of his hand before Shep was out of his break. And so now you've got the defense playing catch up, chasing the ball. Shep catches it and is able to break a tackle, and that's a huge play for us, you know, touchdown off turnover. So we gotta you know, drill down on those things, that chemistry, but and we got to get, you know, we got to design to get all our playmakers involved, but we'll get there. And Mike certainly is shown himself capable. And again, you know, young quarterback, just like Ken, you get excited about how they develop as they get experience. And, you know, Mike has all the makings of a really strong player there for us.